the United States. One nuclear weapon. Swedish government partners Nigerian universities on digital literacy. Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo advocates powers to ECOWAS Parliament. Mali continues to be part of our focus as the military coup leader Assimi Goïta declares self as country's president. These are just few out of many issues on the front burner on this edition of Global Update on NTA News 24. My name is Oyeyemi Ajayi. Welcome. Now, our first point of call is Mali. Unfolding events reveals that new dimension things are taking in Mali. Some refer to it as coup in a coup, while many describe it as deplorable. As it is now, Mali's coup leader, Assimi Goïta, has declared himself president after arresting and releasing the transitional leaders, with some of them declaring their resignation.
An aide to the vice president said Mali's interim president and prime minister resigned 2 days after they were arrested by the military. Soldiers led by the interim vice president, Assimi Goïta, arrested President Bandor and Prime Minister Moktawane and took them to a military base on Monday. Hours before the arrests, two of Colonel Assimi Goïta's August coup leaders were dropped from their post in the cabinet reshuffle. Aide to the vice president, Baba Cissé, said negotiations are ongoing for their liberation and the formation of a new government. A military official who was present during a meeting with Goïta late on Tuesday said the delegation led by former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan raised the possibility of sanctions against the officers responsible for the takeover. Earlier, French President Emmanuel Macron, who condemned the move, called it a coup within a coup and raised the threats of targeted sanctions.
Coup d'État dans le coup d'État inacceptable.
On Tuesday, Colonel Assimi Goïta said the president and prime minister had violated the transitional charter by failing to consult him about the new cabinet. Goïta, however, through his aide, Baba Cissé, promised that elections planned for next year at the end of the transition period will go ahead.
The interim vice president had no choice but to intervene in order to protect the transition and defend the republic.
The military's action, observers say, have jeopardized Mali's return to democracy and drawn condemnations from international powers.
Now, moving on, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has wrapped up a 2-day visit to the Middle East, winning diplomatic support and hundreds of millions of dollars of pledges from Arab countries as he moved to shore up the ceasefire that ended an 11-day conflict between Israel and Hamas, the Palestinian group which ruled the Gaza Strip. But the mission made little headway in resolving the deeper issues at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, including the tensions in the occupied East Jerusalem that played a key role in triggering the latest violence. After 2 days of talks with Egyptian, Jordanian, Israeli, and Palestinian officials, Blinken acknowledged that any resumption of peace talks remained far off. In the meantime, he said he had made progress towards the more modest goals of cementing the ceasefire and rebuilding Gaza, which suffered widespread destruction as Israel bombarded the territory from the air, land and sea for 11 days.
Time they go into this battle, both parties have motives. For the Israelis, they want to degrade Hamas. For the Hamas group, they want to make their name. They are genuinely protesting against oppression, and discrimination and lack of freedom. But they're also having an internal battle with the government in Ramallah. So you can see both sides have reasons for what they are doing. But what we need to recognize is that in 15 years, after every battle, no effort has been made to find a common ground for a final settlement of the problem. And this is because on the part of the Palestinians, they do not have, in fact, in fairness to the current president, Abbas, he's virtually made a lot of concession to the Israelis. He's virtually been, should I say, not too forceful. But the Israelis, under the current prime minister, has shown no inclination at all to negotiate. For one reason that I say all the time, the current leadership in Israel wants to be the longest serving prime minister and is ready to sacrifice anything. And particularly under the last 4 years of Donald Trump, he felt empowered, emboldened, not even to consider any peaceful negotiation. But I think now that the President of the United States has openly committed, has said they want to go for the two-state solution, which has been not just the UN resolution, but part of the US policy. I sincerely hope that the US itself will take this seriously and press the two parties to a final settlement. Except that is done, we are going to see a repeat of this within now and the next 2 or 3 years or 4 years.
Now from here, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
This is NTA News 24. Communication technologies allow the free flow of information to and from one source and another. Are these sources authentic? If the sources are not verifiable, then it's fake news. Don't share, don't kill. Fake news kills. This message is brought to you by NTA News 24.
Welcome back. The program is still Global Updates, that which brings to you developments and updates around the globe. Now, President of Ghana and Chairman of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State, Nana Akufo-Addo, at the opening of the 2021 extraordinary session of ECOWAS Parliament, is advancing more powers to the regional parliament to checkmate bad governance and a coordinated end to the COVID-19 pandemic through local production of vaccines.
With the reflections on the ideals of the ECOWAS Parliament as expressed in the anthem, members settled in for the first extraordinary session of the 5th Parliament, holding physically, no thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Our people honestly yearn for deliverables emanating from our service to them. To this end, we will continue to strive to improve every facet of their lives, while also ensuring that our community remains integrated and prosperous.
Equally, in this regard, takes us closer to achieving the plan of not just bonding our states, but also our peoples, as envisioned by our founding fathers. It is a step towards enhancing good governance.
President of Ghana and Chairman of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government, Nana Akufo-Addo, wants West Africa to provide local solutions to the COVID-19 pandemic and committed to an immediate emergency extraordinary summit of heads of state on the Mali crisis.
Apart from our people living in a constant fear and uncertainty, we cannot expect to attract the requisite levels of investment should this state of insecurity persist.
I believe that it is now a consensus amongst all stakeholders that women must be included in all governance frameworks.
The Swedish government partners Nigerian universities on digital literacy.
Digital literacy refers to an individual's ability to find, evaluate and clearly communicate information through typing and other media on various digital platforms. This reflects an individual's grammar, composition, typing skills and ability to produce text, images, audio and designs using technology. This, many say, is the future of global education, so everyone must key into it. This, however, informs why the Swedish Embassy is collaborating with Nigeria in ensuring digitalizing education in Nigeria. In doing this, the target is the university, which will make it easier for direct access for the youths. With the development of more content, this partnership, which is driven by a social development enterprise, is expected to be felt by many Nigerian universities after success recorded with the pilot scheme, which is a private university in Nigerian Federal Capital Territory.
So our aim, as Oscar here said, is to provide digital literacy to the youth of Nigeria, which includes all youths, and we're hoping that this is something that will spread and be offered to many, many universities. But with that being said, we are starting with Base University, and that's where we're initiating the project, and that's where we'll be running for this period, hoping for it to spread to the rest of the youths in the country.
It's really fascinating to see new cooperations between Nigeria and Sweden, two countries far away physically, but joining hands in the digital field. And that's really the future when it comes to our digitalization of our countries. So this is a brand new 360 platform with new solutions within one civic space, and especially focusing on high-level education.
It's a program that keys into an existing platform and practice which we have. And so we are happy to be part of it because we have a very robust IT system.
With the increased importance of technology in a society, digital literacy is gaining recognition as the most valuable tool for lifelong learning, and this is one believed that Nigeria will benefit immensely from when keyed into.
World Health Organization WHO Director General says the ongoing vaccine inequality is perpetuating the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the world remains in a fragile situation, though the WHO has seen a downturn in the number of cases and deaths being reported for 3 consecutive weeks. He said no country should assume it is out of the woods yet, no matter its vaccination rate, while condemning that the ongoing vaccine crisis is a scandalous inequality that is perpetuating the pandemic.
Almost 18 months into the defining health crisis of our age, the world remains in a very dangerous situation. As of today, more cases have been reported so far this year than in the whole of 2020. On current trends, the number of deaths will overtake last year's total within the next 3 weeks.
The United Nations Security Council had held an open debate on United Nations peacekeeping operations, improving safety and security of peacekeepers at the initiative of China. China's permanent representative to the United Nations hosted the public debate where a presidential statement drafted by China was approved by all 15 council members. In recent years, the United Nations has continued to attach increasing importance to the security and safety of peacekeepers. which pushes the United Nations to continuously revise the work guidelines for peacekeepers to improve protection efficiency.
It has clearly identified the safety and security of peacekeepers as a paramount priority. And obviously, this is one of the top priority of the Secretary General and certainly of this department. I want to thank the People's Republic of China for its continued leadership in advancing this agenda, including through hosting today's debate and the recent creation of the Group of Friends of Safety.
Now, French President Emmanuel Macron's working visit to Rwanda is being commended by people who know the history Rwanda shares with France when it comes to that country's role in the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi back in 1994. They say the French president has taken a step in the right direction, helping both countries to come to terms with the truth of what happened. One step of healing taken by the French president was to apologize for France's role in the perpetrated genocide.
To say that Rwanda-France relations had been strained since 1994 because of that country's role in the genocide against the Tutsi under the leadership of François Mitterrand would not be an exaggeration. It is clear that France's current leaders want to adopt the approach of truth and support the right thing that has ample evidence to validate it. In the past, that country had taken a hardline stand that included pride and arrogance towards African countries. Now it appears the current French administration sees other countries in Africa, especially, on an equal footing when it comes to cooperation. None of the four presidents that came before Emmanuel Macron since 1994 ever acknowledged their country's role in the genocide against the Tutsi, and President Macron proved the exception. This is the first time France's government has admitted that it played a role in the atrocities that took place in this country, the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi. In their own words, they admit that they have a heavy and overwhelming responsibility to bear. It is clear that for the last 2 years, Macron has been willing to take this step and address this issue. He is clearly coming in a context based on mutual respect, and that is obviously quite brave of him. None of France's presidents since 1994 have managed this, except President Sarkozy, who came here 10 years ago to try, but he too failed. You should also be aware that there is a group of people in France that supported President Mitterrand when he was leading France and the genocide occurred, and he played a role in those atrocities. There are people who were soldiers in the Zone Turquoise, as well as members of the Socialist Party. They have continued to oppose us and President Macron, which is why we must acknowledge that he is brave to do this. Thirdly, it should be noted that he is helping the French youth and the general public that acknowledged their country's role in those atrocities, and they include writers and researchers. Macron is very brave to do this, and he has undertaken a commendable journey. It has also been noted that what President Macron is doing now will echo through the ages. For France to have been able to come to Habyarimana's aid came about as a result of an agreement signed by Habyarimana and the President of France in 1978. Whatever Macron signs will not be able to be undone, even after he passes away. Also, regular French people did not know the truth. We should make a distinction between the French government and the country's people. I lost many friends in France because of talking about Mitterrand and his group. They did not know. After they uncover the truth, they will not go back to being that way. Do you think they enjoy being called genocide perpetrators? Back in 2018, when President Paul Kagame visited France and President Macron supported Louise Mushikiwawo's successful bid to head the International Organization of La Francophonie, it was already becoming clear that France was looking to turn over a new leaf in respect to Rwanda.
Nous avons décidé avec le président Kagame de travailler ensemble de manière pragmatique.
We have decided with President Kagame to work together in a pragmatic manner on subjects of mutual interest for both countries. This does not mean that we are ignoring the difficulties of the past or the strained relations. If anything, we want to deal with those issues and build a future for the younger generations. Without a doubt, This will take time, but I can tell you that we have the sincerity to engage in this and will to do it.
Du temps, mais je crois pouvoir dire que nous avons tout à la fois la sincérité de l'engagement et la volonté de faire.
The Duclair and Muse reports on France's role in the genocide against the Tutsi have also been welcomed by Rwanda's leadership as a step in the right direction.
I think this is a big step forward that is welcome by Rwanda and I guess by many in France, that we can have these facts, the truth established by independent people, by independent commissions, because there is a report by Duclair and another commission on our side by Muse. There is a convergence as to the facts and evidence for what happened. And I think France and Rwanda have a chance now and a good basis on which to create a good relationship, as the case should have been. Then the rest we can leave it behind us. Maybe not forget it, but forgive it and be able to move forward. I think that's the most important thing. So I think we are really moving very well forward.
Still in Rwanda, the country's Minister of Emergency Management, Maresolange Kayusire, has assured victims of the earthquake in Rubavu district of the country that the Rwandan government will continue to be close to them and provide them with all necessary assistance.
The Minister of Emergency Management was briefed on the effects of the earthquake at Gisenyi's former ESSA Science Center and Gisenyi Hospital, where she found that some of the startup medical services had been relocated to Rugerero and Hospital of Ruhengeri and Shira. The minister urged residents whose homes were affected by the earthquake to leave their homes. People within a 200-meter radius from the cracks should evacuate, because there is a possibility of them widening or getting deeper. The first thing will be to continue to help them in the ways we can, to make sure that they are in good health, to ensure that where they are staying is in good condition. The analysis of the situation shall continue. As for people who need materials or food, we are able to assist. The official also visited more than 650 Congolese refugees from Nyirangogo territory who fled the quake. The refugees housed in Busasamana sector were happy with the reception and expressed their wishes. The officials of Rwanda welcomed us and opened the border. We have settled in well. The only things we are missing are basins to wash our clothes in and clothes for the children. The Minister of Emergency Management has assured that these issues will be discussed with the authorities for a response. We have spoken to the officials in charge about finding a way to help them, case by case. There are some people who are sick. We do have enough food to sustain everybody, so that should not be a problem. In the Rubavu region, more than 1,200 houses, including commercial ones, have been destroyed by the quake following the Nyirangogo volcano eruption. Most of the damaged houses were affected due to the cracks in the ground. Employees of the Gas, Mines and Petroleum Agency are closely monitoring the quake. They say that they have been aware of it for some time, but there were never any immediate consequences, only 2 landslides. We are constantly updating our site with information about the earthquakes. They originate 7 kilometers deep within the ground. As you can see, that is deep within the ground. The pressure is looking for ways to be released, which is why we see these cracks in the ground. But this is not to say that it will cause a wide, recognizable split within the town. The hot pressured air searches for weak spots in the ground to escape, and that is why we are seeing this. The splits will not be permanent or go much deeper. Experts say the timing of the earthquakes is unknown, but based on the experience of other earthquakes after the volcano eruptions, they found it to last no longer than 2 weeks.
Moving on, tens of thousands have fled Goma over fears of new eruptions in Democratic Republic of Congo.
Tens of thousands of people were stuck in kilometers of traffic jams blocking the roads out of Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo as the eruption of the Mount Nyiragongo volcano has forced people to flee their homes in the town of Goma. The United Nations say about 5,000 people are feared to be homeless. By order of the military governor of the North Kivu province, parts of the city have been evacuated. The Democratic Republic of Congo has been on high alert since Saturday after Africa's most active volcano erupted for the first time in almost 20 years. So far, at least 32 people have been killed.
Alright, our story concludes this edition of Global Update on NTA News 24. Join us again some other time as we discuss issues and update you as developments unfold. Remember, COVID-19 is real. Observe all safety protocols and remain safe and alive. My name is Oyeyemi Ajayi. Bye for now.